What's going on, EoP sports fans? It's Wednesday afternoon. It's time for EoP. I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joey Sharon.
And we got a lot to cover today. Today's special episode, we broke them down for you guys, and we're jumping right into the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies will be
playing hooky from work.
Yeah, that's right. Phillies are going to be jumping right into it right after we are. The series is tied 1-1. Let's real quick recap. Game 1, real dominant. Just seemed to be in cruise control the whole time for the Phillies. Game 2 started off that way until about the fifth inning.
Yeah.
And then, Zach Wheeler had a little bit of a bad moment. Let up a 3-run home run. Game came into 1 run, and we saw how it ended. And the Braves were able to come back, win, tie the series. Joe, bump in the road or momentum shift?
I don't want to say momentum shift. And I also don't want to go on this whole thing of like, well, the Phillies did what they needed to do and came back 1-1. Like, listen, no, they were up 4-0 with their ace on the mound. And I actually said this into the post game last night with Pat and Matt, and I said, does this now answer the questions of the Game 6 World Series on if they should have pulled Wheeler or not? What we saw last night is what happens when you wait too long to pull Wheeler.
Yeah.
So I mean, that ends that conversation. But listen, no, you're up 4-0 on enemy territory, knowing that you're coming back to play Wednesday and hopefully not Thursday in Philadelphia. You need to do whatever you need to do to get that W. I don't care. I don't care if it's the Braves. I don't care if it's the Dodgers. I don't care who it is the Phillies are playing. You're up 4-0 in a playoff position. You're on the road. You have to win that game. It still hurts that what happened to me, because it was such an opportunity to come back here 2-0 against the hottest team ever, according to records.
One of the best,
blah blah blah,
best offenses in baseball ever.
Yeah, and I don't want to hear any of this crap about, oh, it's Bryce Harper's fault for running past the second base bag on the hit that almost won or sent it to the bottom line.
Was 5 feet from a home
not
run?
Even. This is like 2 feet. But I mean, and you can't sit here. You can't be like, oh, I love the aggressiveness of the Phillies on the base path with all the stolen bases and everything. But then, a little hiccup in the road and Bryce Harper gets caught and gets doubled up. You can't have one or the other.
There was a few mistakes made.
Absolutely.
During that game, and Trey Turner, who has been pretty much the hero of the postseason right now, had kind of a flubs, and a flub that cost him that could have made the difference between being 4-3 at the moment and being 4-2. Everything's like, I mean, this is what makes baseball. That you could be up 10 runs. I mean, we've seen it before. You could be up 10 runs and
100%.
lose games. Like, it doesn't matter. There is really there's a pitch clock, but there really is no time limit. It is 3 outs every inning you get. Surprise for me a little bit. JT Realmuto, not surprised, but like good to see that he really has. This has been a really good postseason so far for him. Trey Turner, for the most part, out last night has been really good.
Well, real quick, I mean, we're talking about Trey and the errors from last night. Well, if he didn't have an outstanding double play in Game 1, the Phillies are coming back here 0-2.
Possibly.
I mean, you can't beat up on Trey either. He's the big reason that they won Game 1.
That's why in most sports, but baseball, you have that short-term memory, and you got to be able to move past everything. And I believe, I think it was, I forget who somebody said it, but Michael Lara, I was talking to him earlier. He goes, look at Spencer Strider's. On the numbers, if you're just looking at the box score, he had a pretty decent game.
Absolutely.
Let up 3 runs, but
absolutely,
it's the same thing with Zach Wheeler. I mean, on the box score, if you were, coming from the future, just looking at a box score, not seeing the score, you'd probably be like, all right,
true.
The Phillies might have handled this team well.
He went 6 1/3. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Well,
I guess not give up a 3.
Well, what you can ask for, real quick, Joe, is Phillies tickets, playoff tickets.
That's right.
Best place to go right now, because guess what? They're sold out if you go to the Phillies. So forget the other guys. Go to sherrystickets.com. I tell you guys this all the time. Joe's gone to a couple games already, and he's used sherrystickets.com.
I'll be there Thursday?
Yeah, sherrystickets.com is where we go. the tickets are there. The price you see on the screen, there's no guessing game. He can figure out if he can afford it or not. And then he knows he can afford it because it's already great prices with an additional 10% off using that great promo code
EoP10.
EoP10 is correct. Family owned and operated since 1946. Sherry'sTickets.com. Not just for playoff tickets, concert, theater, you name it, they got it. Wherever you're at in the country, go on Sherry'sTickets.com. Use them often. Use it frequent. EoP10 will save you that 10% off. So the other questionable, because if you ask anybody, game one, Topper cruise controlled that game, made every right decision down the line.
Really impressive.
And it's just funny how if Zach Wheeler has a shutdown inning, we're not having this conversation.
Of course not.
It's a smart decision, and that just goes to show you it's not just being right or wrong, but just being right or wrong at that moment, But Jeff Hoffman, he's been a story. He started off throwing a bullpen to Bryce Harper, and he said, "Hey, I like this guy," and it's been a pretty good story ever since.
It's been their best righty reliever out of the pen, yeah.
So he had a game. It's not one of his best games last night.
No.
Yeah. He won only one. He only went 1/3 of the inning, with one hit, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, and had the home run, of course, that we heard about, that we talked about, that made it within 1 run for the Braves. Good move, bad move, the inexperience of Jeff Hoffman, or you just go with what you're running with at that point?
You see, I'm going to go back to Wheeler, and him should have been pulled by Topper, because I had no idea he was going to come back out and start the top of that inning. It looked like he was done for the night. Alvarado and Hoffman were both up, and then you get to choose who you want to go out there and pitch, depending on the batter, what hand he is. But in my opinion, Alvarado should have come out. Wheeler should have been taken out. Didn't even start the top of that inning. Hoffman should have came out, and then Alvarado for the 8th. And then you have, Kimbrel, to end it out. I think that was the one flub so far by Topper. It changed everything. But Wheeler starting the top of that inning changed everything.
Okay, but so if you're okay with the Hoffman move, it just when the Hoffman move came, you weren't okay with.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. Again, watching the game, the Titans final with Pat and Matt, they were kind of complaining about, a young guy versus an experienced guy, and I get that, but a lot of people are also saying Kirkering should have been in there. Talk about inexperienced guy. He's only had 3 innings pitched in all of Major League Baseball, So I understand, but it's also riding a hot hand. But at the same time, I'm trying to find maybe the brighter side of things. Let him have his flub now.
Yeah.
What about he goes, he was dominant, and then NLCS Game 7, that's when he decides to S to bed. Let him get that off. I mean, I know he's it's not what you want. I hope he does a really bad inning here so he get that monkey off his back.
Right.
But at the same time, he's a hot hand. I don't know how you don't ride him at this point. Well, especially with the pitching matchup that he had coming up again.
Not only that, but when your argument is that he's young and he doesn't have, that much experience, especially in the playoffs, what does he have to do for it to be okay for him to go in? If he doesn't go in, he's still not getting the experience. He's still not going in and, pitching against, these elite players and these high profile at bats and innings. What does he have to do to be, for somebody to think that he's experienced enough or mature enough to go into a situation like that?
Yeah. And sometimes
I don't get it.
I think, listen, that's what makes talking about sports great. There's always 2 sides to every coin.
Right.
You could say maybe not being experienced can hurt him, but at the same time, maybe the moment's just another moment in baseball for him instead of, having all this pressure on him and everything. He's, I don't know. I don't think Jeff Hoffman was a bad move, even if leaving in Wheeler. Good move or bad move?
He was the best arm out of their bullpen going down the stretch. In what world are we living in that you're not going to trust him to go out there in Game 2 of the NLDS and go forward and continue to pitch the way we've seen him pitch towards the end of the season? I don't get the argument. Like,
well, I love how people are
was he too immature or young or inexperienced to pitch in game number 142? Yeah. Like what is it? What does it matter how much experience he has when we've already seen him go out and be successful?
Yeah, no, I mean that's my thing. Hot hand. We saw these guys, a lot of these guys in the Marlins series. I mean, Topper moved on from pretty quickly from
the Ranger.
And not the Marlins. I'm sorry, the first game of the Braves series.
Yeah.
And borderline bullpen game almost. You had a guy go about 4 innings, and then you went to a bullpen player every game or every inning.
And he knew that he was pulling them right around the 4th inning, too.
Yeah, like he had this inkling because he knew that he had the ability to possibly blow up at that part. And plus, maybe people think. Do you think there's any thought process to saving him? Maybe they need him in the bullpen.
It's very possible.
Okay,
it's very possible.
I think it's a little flimsy at best because most likely you're going to need him.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, he pitched game 1. Here we are Wednesday with Nola today. I mean, what if he gets into some early trouble? Rangers still good to go in.
But would have Rangers your starter for game 4?
Well, that's what Topper came out and said that he's not going to announce the pitcher for game 4 until after game 3 because he has to see how everything plays out.
That's how he uses it. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think
he could go with Sanchez game 4. I mean, Sanchez is proven too.
I mean, where do you get in trouble? This bullpen is a lot better than our bullpen was last year.
100%.
Let me say that. Not say better. Deeper than it was in 2022. You have long guys like Strahm who can go a couple innings. You still have, not that I want to run to him, Lorenz in there.
Yeah.
Taijuan Walker is in there. Why would you have to go to Ranger knowing that Ranger, to me, and what I saw just from him last year, Rangers, he lives for these moments.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was upset when he came out.
Sitting as close as we did in those games last year, he was the guy on top of the dugout. He was the guy who was lifting people up more than most people in that dugout. He lived for the moment, and we did see them use him coming out of the bullpen in the playoffs last year. But I just don't see why he has to be the guy.
He doesn't have to be the guy. And I think some of these guys that you named, the Taijuan Walker, I said Sanchez, Lorenzen made it this series. He wasn't activated for the wild card series. I think we forget about those guys because the bullpen has been that much better. And as you put it, that much deeper. There's more depth there. So you don't have to go to a Taijuan. He could be your long guy in a game 4. And you're right. Ranger probably didn't have to be, pulled in the 4th inning. It's just, I think he wants to keep his options open because, again, you don't know at what inning, Nola could blow up, and you don't know if it's a righty or lefty. Like, he needs his options of who he can go in there and who has the best leverage against that player at bat at that time.
Well, speaking of lineups, here is your lineup tonight. Game 2 was already Pat and Matt, but tonight I'm back on the call with Matty B. As soon as the Phillies game ends, we will be going live to cover it and the ups, downs, and everything else that goes along with that game. And we'll be here to cover it with you guys. So please hang out with us tonight.
What's up with the you and Matt with the shades and the promo?
Well, I used my new. Those are all our Twitter profile pictures.
Okay,
that's what happened. To be honest with you. So Joe, let's look forward. Let's talk about it. It's Aaron Nola on the on the bump tonight. He's home at Citizens Bank Park in South Philly. We saw how well he did here. Mm-hmm. It's a little cooler. It's gonna be a little cooler than it was the last time he pitched here. I mean, it's actually significantly cooler. I mean, I believe it's going to be. I think it was 72-ish degrees that night. And now you're about 15 to 20 degrees difference, which is a difference.
Sure.
Do you think Nola is locked in, or is there any fear with Nola coming here for Game 3 at Citizens Bank Park?
I definitely think he's more locked in. I mean, we saw, the last 3 or 4 games of him in the regular season, he pitched really well. We saw what he did in Game 2 clincher of the wild card. He did say that he made some tiny adjustments, towards the end of the season. Maybe it was just that. Who knows? Yeah. It could be he is more up and ready for this moment because he knows it's his career as a Philly on the line as well. I mean, there's a lot of different factors when it goes in, but him pitching at home, I think, is a key factor for today because, like everybody says, there's nothing like playing in front of the Philadelphia Phillies fan base.
It really is.
It charges everybody up.
I think that's something that people talk about. I mean, We heard it during the Marlins series, the wild card series. The ESPN guys were talking about it, kind of a little not in jest, but just saying like how it is just mind-blowingly different. But I mean, that's why like I want fans, if you're listening to the show or later on or whatever it is, like pat yourself on the back. Like we really need to take a bow here a little bit. Talking about being the 10th man on the field,
sure.
Like that. It goes. And Joe, we've been here. The way we grow up, being 40 years old, like we said, in Phillies history, we were 10 years old when they were in a World Series before 2008. And it took till 2008 for us to be in our mid-20s for to have any, real meaningful baseball. And to see it, I mean, Joe, we blew the roof off of that place.
Right.
But I think it's even bigger this year.
Oh, I think it is.
And I don't know, maybe audio got better on the TV or the way you could get the background noise into it. I mean, I've been in the stands, I've been watching it on TV, I've been in the press box. I mean, I've been in every angle of the stadium, and it literally shakes concrete and steel girders. Like it really is something to behold. And guys have come here. Like, I mean, Trey Turner came here not solely on that. I'm sure
300 million.
300 million was the big reason. But like, why you sitting at home? You're a Dodger. You're out of it. You're watching the NLCS. The team that beat you get beaten by us, and just shaking players on the other team to the bone, and at the same time energizing guys in the red and white pinstripes. I really feel like people need to experience it. So like, I know we got a lot of fans and people who watch the show from outside the area who maybe don't, get the opportunity to come to the games.
Right.
If you do, please do. And like, absolutely. And you know what? The best way to do it is I go to phillysportstrips.com. And here's one place that won't be ready for it. London. Eagles fans have been to London, and it's, but having that kind of atmosphere against the Mets in London, go to phillysportstrips.com, check it out. It is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Go over to England, enjoy it, have your friends and family. It's not just a trip, it's an experience. I tell you guys that all the time. All the away games are for the Eagles are available. Here's one. Go back down to Washington. We did this. It's an amazing trip. Food, drink, the bus trip, the ticket, the atmosphere. It is amazing. phillysportstrips.com. Check them out. Tell them EoP sent you. And also they have great tailgates for all the home games. And this one will be coming up. The next one, the Jets one for this weekend, has been sold out for a few weeks now at this point. But this tailgate will be for the Kelly Green game, Joe. First Kelly Green game. So
it's going to be great.
It's going to be pretty crazy down at Lincoln Financial Field and Live Casino where they do that at that time. So, Joe, so far, does it amaze you about Bryce Harper? Looking at Bryce Harper's numbers, I mean, for those who don't know, you probably know, but if you don't know, at EoP, we have a ton of social media posts, and Joe does most of them, about 95% of them. And he's doing the deep dives, he's checking out the data, and pulling up the numbers, looking up at Bryce Harper, what he has done.
It's remarkable.
Again, like last year was we could say it's like a historical postseason run for most people, and he was injured.
Yeah, it's true.
Like he couldn't play the field. Now he's playing first base and all that stuff. Like,
really good first baseman too.
Yeah, I mean, like, you sit back for a second and go, this is pretty crazy. This is like a wild thing watching him play.
I know, and we talk about these stats we post and people still have the audacity to say that Bryce Harper is the reason that they lost that game last night because he wanted to be aggressive on the base path. I mean, are we kidding here? The stones on these people to even talk ill of Bryce Harper in any way is unfathomable.
And listen, Bryson Stott would have been next up bat, right?
Yes,
because it was Nick Castellanos who hit that. I mean, and like I said, spitting distance from being a home run, like it was that close. So Nick,
I certainly thought it was gone.
It smelled like a little bit coming off the bat.
Yep.
And then on top of it, give what was it, Harris Jr. or the second or whatever it is, the center fielder for the Braves.
Yeah,
played it well. I mean,
absolutely.
It was an amazing
great play.
Amazing play. So, I mean, I think I look at it, and again, I think Bryce Harper gets leeway because he's Bryce Harper a lot of times, but this was the smart move.
Yeah.
Could have Bryson Stott came up and saved the game? Of anybody on this lineup, I could imagine it could have happened to.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been him. But at the same time, you had, I guess at that point, Marsh was in, right?
Yes.
And then Rojas coming up.
Yep.
And no offense to those guys, we needed to tie that game up. And that ball was, like I said, a hair difference in playing it off the bat. Played it well. And
he
stumbled coming back.
Oh, yeah. He absolutely slipped.
It wasn't like, he ran all the way to third base and had to come back to it.
Right. No, he definitely slipped. But if you look, and again, this is just what I saw with my own eyes, is that when you see the break from the center fielder and his traveling out to try and get it, it did not look like he was going to catch up to that ball. It was either gone or it was going off the wall, and it was going to get kicked around, and it could have been, a double or a triple or inside the Parker for whatever reason. Yeah. And Bryce scores.
Yeah.
And if that were the case, if it would have kicked off and Bryce scored, everyone would be praising him for his base running.
Yeah.
But no, he took a risk. He was aggressive. It's the same game plan that they have used for every game so far. Yeah. And this time it bit them. That's it.
It set a postseason record in game one with stolen bases.
I think it was 5, yeah.
Yeah. Is it set or tied? I forget what it was.
I think they broke it.
They broke it. So, yeah. Five stolen bases. I think 3 of them were by Trey Turner.
Yeah.
Again,
Castellanos had a stolen base last night. If that tells you anything, it means that they were being aggressive.
This is the game of baseball. And could you imagine if baseball playoffs were like football playoffs? One game?
Oh.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, we'd be in the NLCS now.
Yeah, right? We would be. Yeah. We would have lost. Actually, we would have lost the World Series again. If it worked out win-win loss.
Oh, that's true. Gosh darn it.
Yeah. I guess you couldn't even call it the World Series at that point. The World Game. But my point is, it's a 5-game series. And like you said, I don't want to sit back on my laurels and say, well, we really, what you would hope for is a split in Atlanta.
No.
I not worry. The only thing is you don't want, that team was flat. They were flat, like I said, for 9 innings prior and another 5 innings in the game too.
Yeah.
You gave them life. Now it's going to be an all-out war.
Yeah.
But I'm not afraid of that war. Is that wrong? Like I'm
not gonna lie, I'm a little afraid. Because here's my thing: it's like everyone's like, "Oh, you come into Philadelphia, we have the greatest fan base alive," and rightfully so, loudest ever. Like I don't think the Philadelphia fans are going to strike fear in the Braves, but the fans will get the Phillies players themselves uplifted and ready to go to battle, like you said. But the Braves can win here. They have won here all season. Yeah. This is not guaranteed 2 wins and on to the NLCS. Like this is going to be hard. Like. Did anyone really think, like, okay, the first 15 innings of the 2 games in Atlanta, did anybody really think that was going to happen on their turf? No, they got lucky. It could be 0-2 coming back here. It's 1-1, and they gave up a really big opportunity to come back here with only needing 1 more win. The Braves can win here.
Is there any credence to having that first series off and having that extended time off?
And this is what all the Braves fans have been bitching and moaning about, since the loss of Game 1. I remember back in 2008 when the Phillies had 5 or 6 days off because they had to wait for the AL series to wrap up to see who they were playing. Like it doesn't matter. Like you're either ready for the moment or you're not. Like I don't care about momentum. Like okay, they won 103 games, and then people are saying that they're being penalized with a vacation. While the other team is out winning a series. Boo hoo. Like, good teams are good teams, and they find ways to win. It's what the Braves did last night. They found a way to win. Why? Because they're a good team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, like, when I played sports, I hated bye weeks. I hated things like that because, listen, it's especially in baseball, there's a rhythm to it. There's habits and everything. And when things get a little thrown off, it makes a difference. But like you said, you got 2 good teams. Mike Laro's been on our network's been pounding his chest a little bit about how the Braves kind of come up short, constantly in the postseason. And something needs to be said about that a little bit. But I'm not you can't take that to the bank as that's what's going to happen. But I'm looking for an all-out war.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching that game last night, and my knuckles are white. I'm making such a fist the whole time, and I could just imagine what those players are going through at that moment.
Seriously.
In time. But this is an all-out war now. Who's pitching for the Braves?
They don't. I want to say Elder.
It's. Last time I checked last night, it was still to be determined.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't looked since we got to this point. But I know Morton's not. He can't at this series at least. So they would have to.
Okay. Yeah. I thought
they would have to beat us and move on to the NLCS for that to happen. And so Elder and who's the other guy?
I want to say his name's Martinez.
Are you just guessing?
I don't feel like looking up on my phone. Let me ask you this while you look it up. Do you think the last night's off night, do you think that was better for the Phillies to get, a day to get over the heartache of game 2? Or do you think it's worse for the Braves because they have a day off and can't swing that momentum right into today's game?
I mean, as a Philly fan, you want to go with it's hard. It's stopping the rolling giant right now is the worst idea. I think in essence it is the right. It's better for Philly to be able to kind of collect your thoughts, bounce back, and heal from that instead of having to jump right back into it. But at the same time, a baseball player would say, if I'm struggling at the plate, I want to get back up to the plate and keep hitting again. I don't want to wait. So again, I don't know. I guess.
I mean, it could be. The Phillies, like you're saying, they just want to get right back to it. So maybe they would have preferred without a day in between games. I mean, I personally, I think I needed the day off. I'm telling you, the way that the wild card series was, and then Saturday was the game, Eagles Sunday, Monday, and now today Wednesday. I think all of us needed just a break. I mean, certainly my liver did, so I know that's thanking me right now. But all bets are off in about a couple hours. So.
Yeah, right. I'm looking at their pitchers. So is it Johnson? Was it Pierce Johnson? I'm trying to remember.
No, he's in their bullpen. He pitched the past 2 games.
Hernandez, then I guess. Is it Daceable Hernandez? I'm trying to look at their schedule, but whatever. I think now looking at this game coming up, I honestly feel this leans towards the Phillies. On paper, home, of course, home field. There's a plus. The pitching matchup: Aaron Nola, when he's on top of his game, is a top flight pitcher, and they're trying to work around some guys, so their pitching drops.
Right.
It would have probably been Charlie Morton tonight if it wasn't for his injury.
Yeah.
I believe he has a sprained right pinky finger, ring finger.
They all seem to have something going on with one part of their finger.
Yeah. Well, the other one was what was it called? He had a blister.
He had a blister, yeah.
Which is so funny to say, but it is a terrible thing to have when you're throwing 9 miles per hour.
I mean, and to be honest with you, leading up to the game, all I heard about was this blister, but I had no idea that it was right on the tip of his finger where he's putting on the seams of the ball, and it really
dragging.
It really does affect the throw, the spin, the movement, everything. So I get it, but he pitched all right. I know he gave up 3 runs or so, but he's still like the Freed that I know. He still was pretty good.
Yeah. So like I said, on paper, this has to favor the Phillies a little bit, but like you just alluded to, these are 2 very at the plate, evenly matched teams, up and down, pretty much from 1 to 9.
Mm-hmm. Somebody
can do something. There isn't an easy out in the 1 through 9 on any of these teams. Even Rojas, young guy like him, who's only been up here about half the season, sporadically played in the beginning of the first half of that season, and then has been more of an everyday guy. Brandon Marsh, who's been kind of platoon based on the lefty-righty matchups and all that stuff. It's kind of what makes this series, I think. I don't know. I want to say it's a letdown. I mean, right now, what was the final score of the Dodgers
last night?
Diamondbacks.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2 nights ago. I watched it too, and I don't even remember.
Yeah, I'll pull
I know. Game 1 was a thrashing.
Oh yeah, I mean, game 1, Clayton was out. He was out.
Yeah,
with 6 runs and didn't finish. I think got 1 out in the whole game.
And you know what sucks? And this really has to do with game 2 as well. Is the Phillies left 10 base runners stranded through the first 4 innings of that game. So it's not like the Phillies are being outdueled. I mean, they're getting on base. They have as many opportunities as they can get to score, and they just have not been able to punch these guys through on a consistent level. Like, it's the Phillies beat themselves last night. If you really want to look at it, like, sure, the Braves scored 5 runs. The Braves should be scoring 5 runs. I mean, you have to put up more than that. I mean, I know that's silly to say. Obviously, you have to put up more runs than the other guys. But when you have the opportunities to put those runs through, I mean, and you're failing.
It took a lot of Phillies self-inflicted injuries.
Yeah.
Or not injury. Self-inflicted mistakes to do so.
And you know what's going to happen? Phillies will win today. And then Braves fans will start going, well, they should have a day off too, the way that the Braves did. And they shouldn't have momentum going into tomorrow night's game 4. Yeah, exactly.
Well, right now, yeah. So the Diamondbacks are up 2-0 in that series. They won 4-2 on Monday. Just kind of looking at that. I'm not looking ahead, but just looking at that. Are the Diamondbacks that legit? Or are the Dodgers just kind of?
They got some good
apart?
pitching. I think it's more the Dodgers falling apart.
Okay,
that's in LA too. You know what's wild? We could be hosting the NLCS if the Diamondbacks win.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do they? Yeah. That would be.
Yeah, there's no reseeding or anything.
There's no reason. There's only 2 teams left.
That's right. I mean,
yeah. But so Joe, tonight, player of the game. Who's Joe Sheeran's player of the game?
I don't think it's going to be any surprise, but it's going to be Bryce Harper, because I think he beats himself up more than any fan or coach or manager would put on
himself right now.
Absolutely. He is looking himself in the mirror saying, I messed up on running, and that's something that he wants to correct. And he will. Yeah. He is the best player out there. I don't care about Acuna or Matt Olson or any of the. Bryce Harper is the best player on that field when he's playing. I mean, there's no question about it. He's going to come out on a mission today, and you're going to see multi-home runs from him. I hope.
Multi. I mean, the one thing you have to continue to do, and looking at the numbers, I mean, now they've only played 2 games versus the 4 games that we've played. Acuna still has a 0 batting average.
Yeah.
He has a 3.75 on OPS, and so does Ozuna, their DH. He has a 1.43 on the on base percentage right now. So those are the things that you can't let them get ahead of you. You can't let them get any momentum. If you're going to win this, you're going to keep Acuna down and guys like him. Austin Riley always seems to get in our crawl. Darno, is it Darno or Darnard? I always say Darno.
It's a soft D.
It's a soft D.
So it's Denard.
Yeah, Denard. He's another guy. If you let him get going, killing me, bro.
Sorry,
but he's the kind of guy that they can be Philly killers if you let him.
He smoked that ball last night.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, it wasn't a bad pitch. It was a little left up in the zone.
Yeah, he hung it.
But he also, if you look at that swing,
oh yeah,
it was a one. That should.
It was a fluke.
It was should have never happened.
One-handed, yeah.
Yeah, like that's everything a coach teaches you. A batting coach would teach you not to do, and he hit a home run.
It couldn't have hit any more perfect spot of the bat with that type of swing for it to go that far.
Yeah, and that high.
Yeah.
I mean, if that thing wasn't as high, it probably would have went another 50 feet. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty crazy. But, I mean, it's just keeping them down. My player of the game, and it's not who I want, who I may think it's going to be, but who needs to be Mr. Aaron Nola.
Yeah.
Mr. Aaron Nola needs to go a solid 6 innings. It doesn't have to be 7. I mean, because I would like it to go 7, but I think at this point, like I said, again, I trust my bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
Hoffman had a little bit of a letdown, but Soto's been a lot better. Even before the playoffs, he's been a lot better for the little spots he's been in. You know, we haven't seen any Christopher Sand, like I said, any of the long guys. Strom, we saw a little bit of. But, you know, Alvarado, he's going to, even Sir Anthony, like,
I was so scared that game 1 when he was in.
I get a little nervous. He's my new Hector, heart attack Hector.
Yeah.
For right now. Even Kimbrel is, but that's just, I feel like that's any closer anymore. Yeah. You know, unless you're like, you know,
Rivera, yeah, this isn't 08. This isn't perfection of Brad Lidge. Like, closers get hit these days.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. And actually, if you think about it, the Braves closer, he almost blew another save against the Phillies.
Yeah.
He blew 2 in the series, the last Braves-Phillies series here. I guess that was in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been the third one in like 4 games against the Phillies.
The Phillies had the better season record in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And Atlanta had the better season record here in Philadelphia. So I don't want anyone saying that this is automatic. I mean,
there's nothing automatic about this. But I have to admit, I'm not afraid. I'm not like guaranteeing anything, but also I guess I don't want to say relaxed. Maybe tonight I'm relaxed. If they lose tonight, maybe that changes. But I don't fear the Braves, and I don't feel like this team does either.
I don't think the Phillies do. No,
I mean, this team, I just think they look at them just another baseball team across. I think they respect them and respect that they have guys on there that are most likely MVPs or MVP candidates. You know, it's just this moment, and I don't like looking back at last year a lot, but it's just it kind of has the same feeling again. You know, they split the series, they come back to Philly.
It's the exact thing.
I mean, yeah, like it's just like, I mean, if the Phillies win tonight, okay, if you're a Braves fan or anybody in the Braves organization, anything, you sit there, not again.
Well, here's what I think going into this series actually happened. The Phillies were excited to play the Braves. I think the Braves did not want to play the Phillies.
Well, at least if you go by their fans, they didn't. They were upset that reseeding didn't happen because they thought that being the best team in baseball, they should be playing the Diamondbacks. They asked the Dodgers how that's working out for them. I mean, that's exactly what everything would happen the same way. But the minute you start complaining about the guy in front of you, to me, shows weakness.
Absolutely.
And I don't feel that. Like you would think. Anybody would think, like, oh, man, we're going up against, like, one of the most prolific offenses in Major League Baseball ever. They're almost saying. And these guys are just looking at like another day in the park. And I kind of,
this is Bank Park.
And it's funny, like, I feel like that kind of oozes through them onto the field, out through the TVs and everything.
Yeah.
And we're all there. Like, God forbid they lose tonight. I'm still not that worried. I mean, listen, yeah, a little bit of that sinking feeling because it's at this point you have to sweep 2 games in a row with the Braves, and that makes
they have the
difficult.
chance of clinching again in Philadelphia.
Yeah, let's go for that. I like that idea. That's what I want. Clinching on Thursday night.
Well, I'm saying either team will be clinching Thursday.
Do you think do they put it up on the screen?
No.
Please don't do that if that happens. It's not going to happen. Hopefully, this is fair turnaround. This would be fair. It would be justice.
You know what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Schwarber is going to have a leadoff home run, and it's going to send Citizens Bank Park today into another level where it's going to be tremors through the streets again, and the national safety, the Richter scale. There's going to be going off on the iPhone watches and Android watches, and it's going to set the tempo and the momentum for today's game. Phillies coming out big.
How about that, though? Kyle Schwarber had a .235 in 4 games. Hasn't hit a home run yet, but has singles and doubles.
Yeah.
Hasn't done that all year.
I know. Like, I could have sworn that he was going to get one out yesterday because his first 2 at bats were at the track. Mm-hmm. 5, 7 feet from getting over the fence. Like I really thought he was hitting one last 2 nights ago.
All right, Joe. Do you want to do a score prediction for tonight?
Pain.
I like that.
I'm gonna go.
Hopefully not for us.
7-3 Phillies.
7-3 Phillies.
Yep.
Is it a close until like middle of the game, like 6th, 7th inning?
Yeah, that kind of seems like how
crooked number in the 7th inning type deal.
Seems like how these games are going.
That's what it feels like, guys. Real quick, one team you can. It's Team Cherry is a team you can count on to serve the appropriate justice for you if you get hurt at work in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, criminal law, you name it. David R. Cherry is the man who's going to fight for your rights. Go to cherryinjurylaw.com or simply call Dave Cherry at 610-565-0300. Again, that number is 610-565-0300 or visit him at cherryinjurylaw.com. I'm going to go. I feel this is going to be more. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be like a 3-1.
Wow.
Victory.
So heart attack central.
And it's going to be. Because this is my thought.
You think the Braves are only going to come out and score 1 run?
Yeah.
Whew.
And I'll tell you why. This is what happens. Because every time the pitcher isn't one of the best pitchers, we make them look that way. It is kind of an MO for the Phillies. You have their 2 top-tier, top-flight pitchers, and they did pretty well against them.
Mm-hmm.
So that means they're going to have their mediocre or a little better pitcher, and they're going to make him look like that guy.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Until about the 6th to 7th, and maybe even the 8th inning. And
I think that they've been hitting their starting pitchers better than their bullpen.
But that's what I'm saying. That's where it's going to switch up.
It's going to flip.
That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going to go with. And I think they're going to have enough to get through 3-1 Phillies victory.
Jesus.
Bring it to Thursday night. Yeah. So take your heart pills.
Seriously.
Chew on that for a bit, guys. Like, seriously, that's what it's going to be. Other than that, guys, go Phils.
Go Phils.
We will, we'll be live again after that. I hope you guys enjoyed the programming up until today, or right now. Plenty of things. Philly Press Box Radio. We also had an earlier program, if you missed it, talking about the Eagles.
Yep. And if you did, go back and watch it.
Go back and watch it if you have a little time before the Phillies game. If not afterwards, right after the Phillies game, I'll be live with Matty B. We will be covering the post-game show with you.
Wearing sunglasses.
I don't know, maybe. I'll be right here in studio, though. So if you need to get something out, you want to get a point across, please feel free. We like to keep things interactive with you. Other than that, I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joey Sheeran.
And we out.